Ready to go?
Drop some halo.
Right. I can't see the pixels at all. It's so worth the money. All right, let's give it up for Greg.
All right, thanks guys. Well, my name's Greg Foss. I work at Logarithm Labs up in Boulder, Colorado. And today, I want to show all of you how to break into common content management systems. So the CMS systems that we're going to be looking into are WordPress, Drupal, and Joomla. So these run some of the most popular web applications on the internet, like whitehouse.gov and all sorts of other sites. So let's jump right in. So first, let's look at how to break a Drupal application. So first, we're going to log in. Say we've already registered an account using a compromised email account or something like that. So we're logged in. We're going to check out our account, right? And now we're going to go through and see if we can enumerate other user accounts. So of course we can. All we have to do is change the number in the URL. So we're looking at the manager's account, which is great, right? So this is a little script that I wrote just to go through and automatically do this for us, essentially. We're going to extract all of the user accounts, and then we're going to launch a brute force attack against every single user account. So right here, we're just plugging in our session information because we're going to use the session that we've already established from our session on the application right now. So we just plug that in, plug in the protocol, so if they're encrypting it or not. Usually they don't. And so we're going after 10 accounts. And we're just using passwords.txt files. So this is the word list that we're going to use to launch attacks against the user accounts. So right here, you can see these are all the accounts we've successfully brute forced. So it's pretty quick, even in production penetration tests. Like as long as you have a really good word list, like the Rocky list works really, really well. So right there, we've taken over 10 accounts essentially in just a matter of seconds. So how about cross-site scripting? Anyone here know about cross-site scripting? Yeah. You can do a lot of fun stuff with cross-site scripting. So first, I want to show just the basic cross-site scripting attack. This is kind of the foundational cross-site scripting attack right here. So pretty much every Drupal application I've tested or content management system I've tested has had some form of cross-site scripting in it. So a lot of these attacks you can use really easily. So right here, we're just plugging in our script within the comment field. Now what's really scary about this is a persistent cross-site scripting. So you don't have to socially engineer someone into tricking them into clicking on a link or something like that. They just have to visit this page, and essentially we're going to steal their session token. So we'll save our comment,
Nice.
See great post, really like their content, and that's all they're going to see when they view this page. So we fire up our netcap listener on our attacking system. And so we're over here on the administrator's web browser here. And so as soon as they refresh the page, they see someone's commented on their post, right? Oh, they really like my content. This is awesome. Well, no, we just stole your session token. And
Oh shit, there it is.
so now that we have their session token, we have to use that, right? So we'll go back to our attacking system, and we'll plug that in. We'll just switch out our existing session token with their session token. So we'll switch these out real quick and save it. And as soon as we reload the page, we'll have taken over their session. So now we have admin access to the Drupal admin.
Nice.
That's good.
So there's a lot of other really cool attacks you can do with cross-site scripting. So the session token theft is just kind of the beginning. So anyone here use the Metasploit auxiliary keylogger, the JavaScript keylogger? This thing's awesome. If you inject it in any page that has a login form, you can essentially steal their anything that they type into the page as they're typing it. And it's great in production pen tests because as people are typing, it just fills up your screen with passwords and all sorts of cool things.
Damn.
So we're going to inject it in the same way, just in the comment field here. And this works really good on upgraded applications that have like HTTP only flag set and stuff like that, so you can't steal the session token. So this is a really great vector if you're just going after passwords. So we'll just plug in our script source here and save our new comment. And now we'll switch back over to the victim that we're targeting. And so they reload the page, and right now we've already hooked their browser. So every single system that we hook, it's going to tag their system, it's going to tag all the keystrokes that they've logged into a text file. And so now we've just stolen their username and password. So it's a fun, very fun attack. Now this one's a pretty cool one, especially if you're going after a company that's using LastPass Enterprise or something like that. I really like imitating production tools that people trust and they think that it's their valid actual application. So this is kind of the same vector, but it's just a different variation of this hack, because I just like showing all the different things that you can do with cross-site scripting. So right here, it's a fake LastPass dropdown. So anyone here use LastPass or want to admit to it? One guy did. All right. So as soon as they load this page, they see our fake LastPass pop up there. And so now that when they click on login, it actually goes to our server. And so whatever they enter here, it just gets written into our log file and they steal their credentials. And this works incredibly well, which is very funny. So how about some other attacks against Drupal applications? So one of my favorite modules that Drupal has is called Devel. And a lot of developers enable this, and they leave it enabled for production applications. And it's for development because it shows database data related to every single page that you view. So right here, we're looking at a user account, and we can actually pull their password hash right out of the page. We just have to click on this yellow box here. And as we go through, we can get their password hash. And there's a built-in permutation within John the Ripper to crack these password hashes. So I wrote another script to go through and automatically extract all this information whenever you find the Devel module enabled. So it's pretty much the same format as the other script that I showed earlier because I suck at coding and I don't like redoing things. So we're just going to plug in our session token again. We use our existing session, plug in all the pretty much same parameters from before. And we're going after 30 accounts. So as this runs, it just goes through and scrapes all this out. So now we have every single email address and password hash and a nice list that we can load into John the Ripper. So right there's every single user account and password hash from the site. So it makes it super easy to break into Drupal applications. So the next thing that Devel comes with is the ability to execute PHP code directly on the server. So this is probably my favorite part of the Devel module here, because you can just completely take over the application and the server. So what we're going to do is we're going to load the execute PHP module up into active frame within the site. So Drupal works by blocks, so we can just activate and deactivate certain blocks. So now we've activated this block, and now I'm just plugging in some PHP code. We can just write whatever we want, and it'll execute directly on the server. The cool thing about this is you can execute whatever you want, and there's no records of what you did in the log files or anything else on the system. So it's a lot better than writing a shell or something like that. So we're just going to test that this works by reading the etc password file. And it works. That's great. So, pretty nifty. And then, so now we're going to go after something even more valuable. So we're going to go after the settings.php file. Now this is going to give us MySQL credentials, the Drupal hash sol, and all sorts of other good stuff that will help us actually crack the credentials that we've stolen. So right here's the database, username, password, and the Drupal hash sol. So we can plug this into John the Ripper as well to crack those passwords. So pretty much have almost everything that we need on the application, right? Except we don't have a shell yet. So of course we need to get a shell because we're pen test, right? So I'm just using the MSF payload. I'm going to generate a base64 encoded reverse PHP shell. So we're just going to let this load. So all I have to do now is copy this chunk of text here and load it into the application and let it run. And as long as I have my listener set up, It's going to shovel a shell back to me, and now we have a shell on the server. So I'm starting up my listener here. And you can actually do this with the netcat as well. I was like showing a few different ways to do this. So we have our listener set up, and we just click execute, and now we have a shell on the server, so we can run direct commands on the host. So we pretty much own this server at this point. Pretty cool. How about SQL injection? Anyone read the recent news about Drupal's SQL injection that affects pretty much every Drupal 7 application on the planet? So it's this simple to exploit. There's a proof of concept out there, and that's all I'm really running. All it really does is it changes the password of whatever account you pointed at. So I have it set up to change the admin password. So we just change it to admin. I don't recommend doing that on a real pen test. But now we just log in, and we have admin access. Super simple exploit. That's why this is so scary, and why you can patch very quick. So that's Drupal. How about Joomla? Anyone here like messing with Joomla?
Yeah, boy!
Yeah. Hey! So Joomla has a very similar SQL injection within the core of Joomla. This one's not as easy to exploit, but pretty simple nonetheless, because there is still a publicly posted proof of concept. So right here is just in the ID parameter under the web link script here. So we plug in an A and find out, oh, there's a MySQL error, right? So let's mess with this, right? So now we're going to plug in our actual SQL query here. And so we're essentially just going to select the passwords from the database. So we're going after the admin's account here. And that's their encrypted password, which is very easy to break as well. So now, let's say we've logged in with the credentials we just stole. So we took that encrypted password, we cracked it. Now we're logged in, and now we need to get access to the server. So we're going to go up to extensions, go to template manager, and we're going to modify our template. Because it's all PHP code, so we can just write whatever PHP we want. So here's the theme we're using. So we have to use this theme and edit this theme to actually modify the existing site.
It's the latest version of Joomla?
This is 3.2.1, I believe. So right here, I'm just making a new file. You could edit any existing file, which is what I normally do on a pen test. But for the demo, it's just like showing that we're creating a new file. So I'm just going to make a super simple shell here. Probably one of the smallest shells I could think of. So all we're going to do is we're just going to take commands through the C parameter, and we're just going to run them on the server. So we'll save that. Now we just have to go to our new file. So we load it up. It looks like nothing's there, right? So we just have to plug in whatever commands we want to run through the C parameter. So now we're listing the directory contents. So pretty simple, but it's not that pretty, right? So I wrote this other tool called Command Injector. And what this does is it essentially takes a URL like this that is either vulnerable to code execution or command execution. And you can actually plug in whatever commands you want, and it parses it out really pretty so it looks like an actual terminal. So now we're interacting with it more interactively just through our basic little shell. And now we've taken over that server. So let's move on to WordPress. Did anyone here go to AppSec USA by chance? Go to AppSec USA? So AppSec USA, they weren't too happy about me using the site for the demo, but I decided to. So I was actually helping out with development on the site, and they gave me a task that I actually needed server access to complete. Instead of asking for it, I decided to do this. So what we're going to do is pretty much the same thing that we did with Joomla. We're going to edit the template. And so I'm just editing the 404 page here. And we're essentially going to generate a reverse PHP shell code again. It's pretty similar to what we did within the Drupal application, except this is a real production application that people are actually using right now, which is kind of bad, but whatever. So I'm just going to generate this code, and I'm just going to append it to the bottom of this 404 page. So once I plug this in, all I have to do is pretty much go to any random page on the AppSec USA site, and this code's going to run, and it's going to shovel shell back to me. So we'll fire up Megcat, catch our reverse shell. So as soon as we go to just pretty much anything that doesn't exist here, we'll shovel our shell back. And now we have a shell on the AppSec USA server.
Damn.
And my time's up.
Damn.
Well, with that, thank you guys. You can download all the scripts that I showed up there on my GitHub page, and that's how to reach me. And thank you.
Jesus.
Yeah!